They mocked the janitor, laughing as he mopped the dojo floor. What happened when the black belt challenged him left the entire room humiliated. This is Black Voices, stories where arrogance gets exposed and dignity stands tall. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next revelation. The smell of sweat and old wood hung heavy in the dojo. Fluorescent lights buzzed faintly above, casting a pale glow on scuffed mats. Students whispered, tying their belts, their bare feet sliding against the smooth surface. And in the corner, crouched low, mop in hand, was Marcus, the janitor. His faded uniform shirt stuck to his skin from long hours. His shoes squeaked as he worked, dragging the mop in quiet arcs across the floor. To them, he was invisible. Just a man with a bucket. Nothing more. But little did they know, he carried a past none of them were ready for. The dojo floor he cleaned tonight was once the stage where he had stood undefeated. At the center of the room stood Ryan Cole, the dojo's prize student. A 20-something with a crisp black belt tied high, his chest puffed out like a rooster. He shadowboxed in the mirror, fast hands snapping with confidence. His friends smirked, egging him on. When his eyes caught Marcus in the corner, he scoffed. "Hey, old man," Ryan sneered, loud enough for the whole room to hear. "How about you put that mop down and show us what you got? Ever even thrown a punch?" Laughter exploded. The students leaned back, slapping their thighs. Some even pointed at Marcus, their jeers echoing against the walls. Marcus didn't look up. He wrung out the mop slowly, water dripping, the bucket creaking under the weight. Ryan thought he was making a joke. He had no idea he had just written the first line of his own humiliation. "Come on, Ryan, don't waste your time," one student chuckled. "Nah, let him try," another said, grinning wickedly. "Maybe the janitor can teach us how to scrub floors better than fight." The laughter grew harsher, sharper. The air itself thickened with ridicule. Ryan's grin widened. "What do you say, Marcus? Just for fun. One little spar. Unless—" He leaned forward, sneer deepening. "You're scared." The word scared hung heavy, deliberate, a dagger thrown at Marcus's dignity. Marcus finally straightened, slowly. His back crackled as he rose, mop still in hand. He looked around at the circle of smirking faces. His eyes, calm and unreadable, landed on Ryan. "You sure you want this?" Marcus asked quietly. The tone silenced the room for a second, a tone too steady, too certain. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. And nobody caught it, but Ryan would soon feel it. Ryan tossed his belt ends over his hips, bouncing lightly on his toes. "Don't worry, old man. I'll go easy on you." Marcus set the mop aside, the wood handle clicking against the bucket. He untucked his shirt sleeves and rolled them slowly, exposing arms carved with veins and scars time hadn't erased. The students shifted. A few chuckles faded into awkward silence. Marcus stepped onto the mat, his bare feet pressed into the familiar give of the tatami. For the first time in years, his body aligned to the rhythm of combat. Back straight, breath deep, center calm. Ryan didn't notice. He was too busy performing, throwing fast jabs in the air, grinning for his audience. "Let's go," he barked. They squared off. The fluorescent lights hummed louder. Ryan lunged forward, quick jab aimed at Marcus's chest. Marcus didn't flinch. With a shift so smooth it was almost invisible, he tilted sideways. The punch cut through empty air. The students gasped, then laughed. "Lucky slip," someone shouted. Ryan's cheeks flushed. He came again, faster, left jab, right cross. His fists cut the air with sharp cracks. Marcus's body flowed like water. A sidestep, a lean. His hands never even rose. He let Ryan exhaust himself, each miss drawing more sweat, more frustration. The black belt was throwing punches, but the janitor was teaching a lesson. The laughter died. Whispers replaced it. The sound of Ryan's heavy breathing filled the room. His eyes narrowed, jaw clenching tighter with every failed strike. "What's wrong, Ryan?" Marcus asked softly, voice calm like still water. That calm cut deeper than any insult. Ryan snarled and came in harder, trying a kick this time, a wide, sloppy roundhouse meant to impress more than land. Marcus moved once, just a single pivot. His foot swept lightly and Ryan's leg hit nothing but air. The momentum spun him halfway around. He stumbled, barely catching himself. Gasps filled the dojo. They came expecting to laugh at the janitor, but already the story was slipping away from Ryan's control. Ryan growled, sweat pouring down his temples. "You think you're better than me? You're nothing but a janitor." Marcus finally raised his hands, Not high, not aggressive, just enough. His palms open, his stance balanced. His eyes locked on Ryan's, steady and unblinking. I clean floors, Marcus said evenly, but tonight I'm going to clean up your arrogance too. The line landed like a slap. The students froze, their smirks gone. Ryan lunged again, rage overtaking rhythm. His strike was wild. Marcus slipped inside, one hand brushing the punch aside, the other tapping Ryan's shoulder with surgical precision. Ryan stumbled backward. It wasn't a hit. It was a statement. I could have ended this just now. And for the first time, Ryan's face betrayed it. Fear. The janitor hadn't even begun fighting yet. And Ryan was already breaking. The dojo air thickened with silence. Sweat dripped onto the mats. Somewhere, a student swallowed hard. Ryan straightened, eyes wild, pride bleeding out. Marcus stood calm, shoulders loose, breath steady. As if this wasn't a fight at all, but a reminder. He had been underestimated, mocked, laughed at. But in the next moments, the entire room would learn that Marcus wasn't just a janitor. He was something far more dangerous. Part 2. The dojo felt colder now. The students, who only minutes earlier had been jeering and laughing, stood hushed, their eyes darting between Ryan and Marcus. The smell of sweat was sharper, mixed with the faint metallic tang of fear. Ryan's chest rose and fell, his breath ragged. His knuckles were red from slamming against empty air. He gritted his teeth and spat on the mat. You think dodging makes you special? Fight me like a man. Marcus tilted his head slightly, his eyes calm. I told you. You don't want this. That steady voice carried across the dojo. It wasn't arrogance, it was certainty. The more Marcus spoke, the more Ryan realized. This wasn't just luck. This was control. Whispers rippled. Did you see that slip? He's too fast. Where'd he learn that? Ryan's pride burned hotter than the fluorescent lights overhead. He charged again, fists swinging in a blur. His foot stomped against the mat, echoing like a drumbeat. Marcus shifted once more, sliding back, letting Ryan's own weight pull him forward. At the last second, Marcus turned, placed his palm gently against Ryan's back, and guided him past. Ryan stumbled forward, nearly hitting the wall. Laughter, nervous, uncertain, broke out among the students. Not mocking Marcus this time, mocking Ryan. Ryan spun, face twisted. Shut up! He roared at them. For the first time, the dojo wasn't laughing at the janitor. They were laughing at the black belt. Ryan stormed forward again, but Marcus held up his hand. Enough. The room froze. Marcus walked to the edge of the mat, knelt down, and untied the laces of his worn janitor's shoes. He slipped them off, standing barefoot on the tatami. His toes gripped the mat with the familiarity of someone who had stood on this ground before. Gasps spread through the students. His stance changed, shoulders relaxed, knees bent, breath slowed. It was no longer the posture of a janitor. It was the stance of a fighter. Ryan blinked, suddenly hesitant. What? What are you? Marcus's lips curved into the faintest smile. I used to sweep more than floors. I swept tournaments. The words hit harder than any strike. The secret was out. The janitor wasn't just a man with a mop. He was once a master with a title. Ryan refused to back down. Pride blinded him. He roared and came again, this time feinting left and swinging his leg high, a snapping kick aimed for Marcus's head. The students gasped. The sound of air splitting filled the room, but Marcus moved with fluid grace. His arm rose just enough to redirect the kick. Ryan's leg met resistance, not a block, but a redirection. He spun, balance ripped away, crashing hard onto the mat. The sound echoed like thunder. Dust lifted from the tatami. Ryan groaned, scrambling to his knees. Marcus stood still, calm as stone. I told you. Stop! But Ryan's pride screamed louder than his body. He lunged again, fists flying. Marcus moved inside his guard, hooked an arm under Ryan's, twisted, and in one seamless motion, Ryan was flat on his back, staring at the buzzing ceiling lights. The room erupted in gasps. The black belt was on the ground. The janitor hadn't even broken a sweat. The students were no longer mocking. Their voices carried awe now. Did you see that throw? He's too fast. He's not just some janitor. Ryan lay breathing hard, chest heaving, face flushed with humiliation. He scrambled up, rage twisting his features. This isn't over. Marcus shook his head slowly. It's already over. You just don't see it yet. The words cut through the silence like a blade. And still, Marcus hadn't revealed the full truth of who he was. Ryan gathered everything he had left, pride, anger, desperation, and charged one last time, screaming, fists wild. Marcus didn't dodge. He stepped in. A single movement, a pivot of the hips. His hand cut through the air, palm striking Ryan's chest with a controlled thud. Ryan's body folded. His breath exploded out of him as he hit the mat flat on his back again. This time, he didn't rise quickly. He stayed down, gasping for air, his pride crushed under the weight of silence. Marcus crouched low, looking him in the eyes. You wanted a fight. I gave you a lesson. The students stood frozen, hearts pounding in their chests. The mop leaning against the bucket seemed almost symbolic now. They came to see a janitor embarrassed. Instead, they witnessed a master return. Marcus stood rolling his shoulders as if shaking off dust. The room stayed silent. All eyes were on him. Ryan lay broken on the mat, his arrogance drained, his belt, once a symbol of superiority, now nothing but a strip of cloth. The students whispered, but not about Ryan anymore. Their eyes carried something else now. Respect. And yet Marcus had revealed only half the truth. His identity, his past, his legacy, all of it was still waiting. Part 3 would expose the full secret of who Marcus really was, and why humiliating him was the biggest mistake of Ryan's life. The dojo was frozen. The smell of sweat hung heavy, the buzzing of the lights the only sound. Ryan lay on the mat, chest heaving, eyes staring up at the ceiling, as if searching for an answer that wasn't there. The same students who once mocked Marcus now shifted uncomfortably, eyes wide, whispers trembling. He floored him. Like it was nothing. He can't just be a janitor. Marcus stood tall, his breath calm, his eyes unreadable. He reached down, picked up the mop from the bucket, and leaned it gently against the wall. He had returned to the image of a janitor, but everyone in that room knew better now. Ryan groaned as he forced himself up, pride still flickering weakly behind the bruises. This doesn't prove anything, he spat, his voice shaking. You're still just the guy who cleans floors. The room gasped. Even the students who once cheered for him recoiled at his words. They had seen the truth. Ryan was the only one still in denial. Marcus stepped closer, his shadow falling across Ryan. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of authority. Do you even know whose floor you're standing on? Ryan blinked. His lips parted, but no words came. Because what Marcus was about to reveal would tear down Ryan's pride brick by brick. Marcus turned, looking at the students, now gathered in awe. Years ago, I stood where you stand. On this very mat, he stepped slowly across the dojo, every word measured, every step deliberate. They called me the Iron Hand. I trained champions. I fought in tournaments across the country. Some of your instructors learned from me, and some of their instructors too. Gasps spread like fire. Students clutched their belts tighter, their eyes locked on Marcus. Ryan shook his head violently. No, you're lying. Marcus stopped. His voice lowered. Check the wall. The students turned. Their eyes landed on a faded photograph, framed in dust, half hidden behind certificates. A younger man standing tall, a gold medal gleaming around his neck. His stance, his eyes, unmistakable. It was Marcus. The janitor they mocked was the very legend their dojo once honored. Ryan's knees weakened. He looked at the photo, then at Marcus, then at the floor. His belt, the symbol of his arrogance, suddenly felt like a joke. You, Ryan stammered, his voice breaking. You trained, you... Marcus didn't let him finish. He leaned close, voice steady as stone. I've beaten men twice your size, 3 times your skill, and 10 times your discipline. But I never fought anyone with arrogance as heavy as yours. Ryan's face flushed crimson. The students around him whispered louder, their voices filled with disbelief, admiration, and disappointment in Ryan. For Ryan, humiliation wasn't just being beaten. It was being exposed. His pride was gone, shattered beyond repair, and Marcus hadn't even raised his voice. Marcus straightened, turning his back on Ryan. He picked up the mop once again, dipping it into the bucket, squeezing water onto the floor. His movements were calm, deliberate. "You all laughed," Marcus said softly, not looking at them, "because you judged a man by what you thought you saw." A mop in his hand. A uniform with stains. You thought that meant weakness. He turned, his eyes sharp now, piercing through every student. But respect is not in the cloth you wear. It's in the discipline you carry. The room went silent. The students lowered their eyes, shame burning in their chests. They came to mock the janitor. They left with a lesson that would echo in every fight, every belt, every bow they made. Ryan tried to speak, but his voice cracked. His fists clenched, then loosened. He looked at the photo again, at Marcus's calm figure, and his pride finally collapsed. I... I'm sorry, he whispered, the words trembling, barely audible. Marcus gave him no smile, no nod, no approval. Only a truth. Arrogance blinds, respect builds. Choose which one you carry. Ryan lowered his head, unable to meet Marcus's gaze. For the first time, he bowed, not out of tradition, but out of shame. Marcus finished mopping the last corner of the mat. He wrung out the mop, set it back in the bucket, and began walking toward the door. His shoulders were calm, his pace unhurried. The students watched in silence. Not a janitor leaving the dojo. A master walking away, leaving behind a lesson carved deeper than any scar. Ryan remained kneeling, sweat dripping onto the mat, the sound of his ragged breathing echoing. And the dojo, once filled with laughter at Marcus's expense, now carried only respect. Because the man they mocked for mopping floors had just cleaned up their arrogance instead. Never measure a person by their uniform or their job. True strength lies hidden, and arrogance will always be humbled by respect. If this story shocks you, subscribe to Fallen Stories.